Okay, I got it all sanded and prepped for paint, but I found one more area. Right here there was a little like rubber bracket that held the inner fender, and I decided to go ahead and pull it off, and there was a couple little pinhole rust holes there, so I fixed those, but this is done now. I want to paint this section here, and then later I'll do the outside and upper later, but I do want to get this painted, so I went ahead and pulled that off and fixed that. So that's ready to go now. So now that that's fixed, I'm going to start mixing up primer, and then we're going to spray this. Okay, on this project, this is the primer sealer that I'm using. It's T-Rex protective coating. It looks like a T-Rex eating a raptor. That's the brand. You get a gallon of this on Amazon for, I think it was $150. So it's cheaper than I could get it locally. So I went ahead and tried this. Like I say, I'm trying to stay on the budget. It was reviewed very well, so we'll see. This is what we're using, and I'll be using to spray it. I'll be using the Cobalt gun from Lowe's again. This gun works good for me, so I like it. So, and for this truck, it's a perfect project. So we'll get this mixed up. It mixes up 4-to-1. So we'll get this mixed up, and we'll be ready to spray. Okay, I got 2 coats of primer sealer on there. It's not going to be easy to see underneath because it's probably too dark, but not too bad. It went on pretty good. I actually like this paint so far. I can't speak for its durability, obviously, but it sprays well. The cleanup seems like it was a little harder than some other paints, but anyway, I'm glad to have this face done. And the next thing I'm going to do on this, I'll let this set. The next thing I'm going to take seam sealer. There's a few seams I want to go through and just fill the seams a little bit. But then I'm going to put Rust-Oleum on it, and I got the hammered finish because some of this is textured from the old rust, and then where the new is smooth, I kind of want them to blend together. So I'm going to put hardener and the silver hammered. I'm going to go under the whole thing. I'm going to roll it and brush it so it is kind of textured. So I'll get 1 coat of silver hammer on the bottom, and then I'll spray it with the blue after I get that. So that'll take a couple of days, but that's what we're going to do. Okay, some of the upgrades I'm doing to the truck, I'm relocating the gas tank to the rear, so that's what's in here. And that is my power brake, dual brake cylinder, so I'm upgrading that. The other thing I decided to do, this was kind of expensive, about half the price of what I paid for the truck, but I decided it was a good upgrade, hopefully, is I'm going to run power steering. So I got a power steering kit here. So I think this will be a big upgrade. They'll let me put a tilt wheel on it too, so anyway, this is going to be in months to come. We'll start working on this. I mean, the primer sealer came out nice. I don't know how easy to see with the light, but I want to get in some of these cracks here, and I'm going to put seam sealer in places there. Over here, there was originally sealer in the top of those, and just a few areas I'm going to go through and hit with seam sealer. Not many, but I'm going to do that tonight, and then tomorrow we'll be ready to put the Rust-Oleum hammered finish on it. So let me get all these. Now that I have the primer sealer under the truck and I've got all the seams sealed, now I'm mixing the silver paint, which I'm using the Rust-Oleum hammered silver, and that's the catalyst I'm using for the hardener. So I'm getting ready to mix that up, and then I'm going to cut in all the corners with a brush, and then I'm going to roll it again, because I'm doing it with a brush and a roller here because I do want texture in the paint, because where it was rust, it was kind of pitted. And where I have new metal, it's nice and smooth, so I kind of want to make it look more consistent. So after I get this on tomorrow, I'll spray the blue on top of that, so we'll get it totally done this weekend. Okay, that took about an hour and a half, but I got all the silver on the bottom. Came out pretty good. I'm pleased enough with it. So tomorrow I'll put the Rust-Oleum that I mixed, what I'm calling NASA blue, the 1 part or 2 parts of aluminum, 1 part cell blue. We'll get that sprayed on there. And spraying it goes a lot faster than rolling it. But I was trying to get texture. The reason I used the hammer, I wanted to get texture on the new part opposed to the old part. And for the most part, it kind of worked. There's a little bit of texture on the new metal now. Not as much as the old, what was rusted part, but. Okay, so we're spraying the blue today. I got it mixed up. I followed the directions. I've mixed in the proper amount of hardener. And I'm doing 10% mineral spirits, which is what Rust-Oleum recommends to thin it. So I'm doing with 10%, see how that does. I can always increase it, but from what I've read on the internet, most people do about 10%, so we're going to try that. So I got that mixed up. It's ready to spray. I have a test panel that I sprayed first because it's important. I did all the steps on that. I put the primer, and then yesterday I put the silver. So I'm going to let that set for 10 or 15 minutes to make sure there's no reaction with this on top of the silver, which there shouldn't be, but just to be sure before I start spraying the truck. So go look at that, and then we'll be ready to spray. Okay, I sprayed this about 5 minutes ago. It doesn't seem to be reacting with the paint. You can see where there was a run, the metallic's kind of building up in those little corners right there, but for this it doesn't really matter, but that's the only thing I see. It doesn't seem like there is any chemical reaction or anything. It's not trying to lift or separate the paint or anything, so I'm probably okay. I'll give this about 5 more minutes, and if it's still okay, then I'll start to spray underneath. The other good thing, kind of in a way, where this is silver, I'm going to paint this, and then I'm going to go ahead and paint some of this, the bottom, just to see how the blue looks on black opposed to silver, but then I'll go back and repaint all of this when I do the whole thing, but I will get a little bit of paint on this, but mostly we're primarily going to just stick to the bottom. But it came out after it dried overnight. It came out nice, so it looks good. So okay, it didn't take very long to get that sprayed out. It came out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it for what it is. I think it'll dry with a little bit more satin to it. This paint, when you add the hardener to it, the hardener adds gloss to it. So this paint, I think, without the hardener would be more satin, but give it some time to dry out. But overall, I'm really happy with it. So, like I say, this is more than I was intending to do. Originally, I was just going to Rust-Oleum the bottom, but since I did all the work, I decided to go ahead and paint it. So we'll let this dry up, and I think we'll be okay. Here's what the outside looks like, corner there. Really on the silver or the black, you can see it looks a little bit darker on the black base rather than the silver base. You can see a slight difference in it, but it doesn't matter for what it is. Anyway, overall, I'm really happy. And I went ahead and painted the bottom section here. I didn't paint the top because I'll sand this and I'll repaint all of this section here. I just wanted some paint there. So when I paint the cab, inside the cab, I'll come down and do the sides here. So I can just sand that in and blend it in. But okay, also today while I'm out here, the paint dried and it dried to a nice satin finish. So that's what I wanted. So very little gloss to it, which will help me when I do the patina finish on it later. So really happy with the way that came out. Good underneath, almost like a new truck. And real quick, back to the paint before I forgot. I didn't know the ratio of thinning the paint down, so I tried. The internet says try 10% mineral spray, which is what I did, and it sprayed very well. So that would be my recommendation too. Is if you need to thin Rust-Oleum down and spray it, just do 10%. It seems to be pretty good. I had one run in the whole thing, but I overdid it. Like, it was my fault. But it went on pretty good. It sprayed nice and even, so 10% seems to be the ideal situation. It's a little cool in the shop. I mean, I'm probably in the mid-60s in here, so maybe that might change with temperature. But for me, 10% works. So if you're mixing it and you don't know, try 10%. So what I think I want to do for the remainder of the day is try to make this corner that I want to make. I'm going to make it with 3 pieces of metal. Hopefully, I'm going to try. I'm going to use my new bead roller. Try to get this shape. I'm going to do this shape on the top and this shape again on the bottom. And then I'll do a piece in between to fill it in and see if I can't get this turn right here. It's a really sharp radius, so it's almost, I don't have a radius that's that tight. So it's probably a 3 or 4 inch bend radius. So I'm going to try it this way. There was a channel, I'll put it up in the description here, that I watch, and they did their truck like this. I mean, they're on a really, $200,000, $300,000 truck, but they rounded the corner, and I really love the way it looks, so I'm kind of copying that. And they had to make, he said he made his in pieces. He didn't show how he did it, but he said he made it in pieces, so I assume he probably did something like this. So anyway, I think I'm going to go ahead and try this at least, start the experiment and see how far we can get with that. Okay, my plan to do this is I cut these 2 pieces out, they're 4 inches, and I use the radius of a cutoff wheel, which is 4.5 inches. My plan is to make a top piece and a bottom piece that rolls up, and then a third piece in the middle. And this is 1.5 inches diameter, and on my bead roller I have 1.5 inch die rollover. So in theory, if I run all 3 of these pieces, that should give me 1.5 inch round over. So I'll have 2 bottom pieces, and I run the center piece through, and that should give me 1.5 inches. So in theory it should work, but I don't know if it's going to. We're going to find out. So when this rolls over, this will bunch up right here and kind of wrinkle because it needs to be shrunk. So I'm going to run this edge through the shrinker first and try to pull it in a little bit, so when I roll it over, hopefully it gets rid of that kink. So I'm going to try that first. So that's what we're going to do next. Okay, I ran the pieces through the 1.5 inch die, and I'm starting to get some shape. So I got some shape there, and I got shape on that piece, but it's not quite where it rolls over the edge. It's not quite there, so I think I'm going to take a smaller one and run these edges over and try to get them to go further. So I'll go to the next set down and see what happens. But it's starting to take shape. It's just not quite there, but we'll see. This is an experiment. Like I say, I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm trying it. Okay, I got all the pieces bent enough to give it a try and see what happens. It seems to match the radiuses on the truck bed, so I'm just going to start welding and see what happens. It seems to kind of be okay, so I'm going to just give it a shot. It's pretty close, I think. Anyway, we'll try it, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but it might work, and it might be good enough for this truck, so we'll start welding it and see what happens. Okay, I got the piece tacked up, and it's round. It fits the radius almost perfect. It's the exact size, so it looks like it's going to work out. So that'll go there. I'll go ahead and finish weld it now. I'll get it all finished up, but it actually looks like it's going to come out nice. It's going to work pretty good. So get this welded up tonight, and then tomorrow in the morning I'll make the other side, since I know how to do it now and it works. Kind of a fun little project. I like it. So, okay, I love it when a plan comes together. So I got it sanded, and it's going to be perfect, really. That's the exact diameter, fits right in with that, so it's perfect. Cut the size, so I'll just trim it along that line right there, and then I'll graft that in. So it actually worked. So now I'll make the other pieces. I got good penetration through all the welds and cleaned up good, so I'm happy with that. Well, I think what'll be neat about this, the truck again is going to be a patina paint job, so it's not going to look like it's anything custom, but this will be a nice little custom component on it. That about the only custom thing. And the tailgate will have the Ford tailgate, so I'm going to do a little bit with the lights, Frenching those in, but that's about the only custom thing I'm going to be doing to the truck. So, but it'll make a big difference. We'll look a lot better with the corners like that. Okay, I think we're getting the hang of it now. I ran it through the 1 inch diameter bead roller this time instead of the 1.5. It seems to make it right for some reason. But I'm going to get this one welded up. I was going to wait till tomorrow, but I decided to do it tonight. So get this welded up, and hopefully it'll match the other side. So. Okay, I have to say I'm really happy with these, the way they came out. Considering this was 3 pieces of flat steel, they came out pretty good. So they're both consistent. And like I say, this was a 1.5 inch diameter tube. I ended up using the 1 inch radius on the bead roller. For some reason, the 1.5 didn't quite turn it over the edge as much. Maybe there's spring back or something. But anyway, I'm really happy with this. I'm really pleased. These came out really nice. So I'm excited for other things I can do in the future, because I've never been able to do anything, a radius this tight and that round. So it's kind of exciting. So anyway, I may work this in on this side. The other side, well, I guess I can get the other side. It's not that big a deal. So I may work these in, but the weather's nice, so I may work on the buggy. So, because I'm trying to do this and work on the buggy this next 2 weeks, or next week or so, I guess. So anyway, it'll either be this or the buggy. Okay, we're cutting up a perfectly good bed now. So get that piece out. Starting to trim this piece up and start to get it fit in there. Kind of what we're going for. So just keep cutting and trimming and get this in. Okay, I got it trimmed out. I've got the rust protection underneath of it, and I painted inside black. So about to mount it on there. See what we got. Okay, I'm really happy with the way that came out. Blended in nice. Moving around. So anyway, that looks a whole lot better on stock. So pleased with that. So later this week I'll do the other side, but we got this side done. I'm curious to see what this looks like paint, so I'm going to put some primer etch on it just to blend it in. So I just kind of want to see what it looks like when it's painted. But okay, there's the stock side, and this is what it looks like now. Put a little primer on. I just wanted to see what it looked like when it was blended in to the truck, and it looks really good. So think I'll just have to put, there's a little spot right there. I'll have to put a little filler. Other than that, that's pretty good. So, move on to the other side. Okay, today I'm going to work on the other corner, get the other corner on, so I'm done with it. I went back on that old Anvil TV and looked at it. Theirs was slightly different than what I did. I like the way I did mine with the corner being on here. They did the same thing, but what's different about them, they left their corner like this attached to the tailgate, so when it came up, it closed like that. So this gap was still there. I don't like that, because when you have the tailgate, when you open it, it would come straight down like where my hand's at. So you'd have this wing, or you'd have that little corner sticking out on the tailgate, which I don't really like. So I like the way I'm doing it better, personally. So the tailgate will go in there like that, and that'll just go right into the transition of it. And the tailgate will come down, and it'll be flat all the way down. So the gap, that gap right there will be in the back just like normal. So I think that looks better than having the gap over here and that whole corner coming off. So it's not quite like I thought it was, but I think it's better. So anyway, we're gonna get this cut out and get this on today, and then tomorrow we're gonna work on the buggy. Okay, we got this side all done, caught up to the other side. It is ready to go. So it was nice to take a break and do a little bit of custom work, because working on the frame, cleaning it, getting the rust off was getting really boring. So like I say, it was nice to stop and take a break and do a little something custom. Felt like I made some progress. But anyway, this is where I'm going to wrap this video up. I got both of these corners done, so I can move back to the truck again, the frame and the boring part. But again, it was fun to do that. So in the next video, we'll continue working on the frame. I've already worked ahead, so I've got this prepped and ready for paint. So we'll get this part painted black in the next video, and we'll get the cab dropped down onto the frame. So that'll be next time. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.